It's Bruins Benders Post Game Live, and it's brought to you on the Inside the Rink YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe now and get our content for the rest of the season. We do the post game lives every game. And today, Maddie and Smitty are here. We are on X at Bruins Benders. You can also follow Smitty at Benders Smitty and me at Mr. Matty Barry. And the Bruins drop a 3-2 decision in overtime to the St. Louis Blues in a rematch of what happened on Tuesday night, I believe it was, where the Bruins came back to win 3-2.
Yeah.
But this time they lose it 3-2 in overtime. They mustered 17 shots. It was just not the effort you need. This is a stretch here where they could win a bunch of games and pile up a bunch of points. This is not the way to start it.
No, it isn't. I thought the first period was good, and after that, it was downhill. No real much of anything. 13 shots in the third period. 13 shots total for the game is just not what you're looking for. I mean, they had opportunities to extend the lead a bunch of times, and they go off sides on odd man rushes. Like, how many teams do you see go off sides on odd man rushes? It doesn't happen very often at all. This team does it routinely. They can't seem to get out of their own way offensively. It drives me insane. And then they'll turn down shots, or they'll have grade A chances and miss the net. Like, it's a whole team full of the high glass crew from back in the day. A whole team full of guys that love to fucking fire it off the back glass like it's their jobs. I mean, it is their jobs, but I mean, that's what you have. That's what you have. You have a bunch of guys who can't hit the fucking net from, right in front of it. I don't know what to, I don't know what to say about the thing. It's the same old shit over and over again. Defensive zone issues, giving up plays off the rush, defense backing in. You can't complete passes coming out of your own zone.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many things wrong with this team that I don't even know where to begin with it all. Really,
I'm not sure they know either. Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where to begin to, and I don't know if they know either.
I think they're lost. I think they're all
lost.
The team is lost. I think they're floundering. I think they're frustrated. I think they don't believe in what they're doing. I don't think there's a lot of buy-in from the team overall.
100%.
And Montgomery's body language, we talked about it last post game, is awful. And when he doesn't fight for a player who gets boarded, when he's just hands in his pockets, stroking his meat while your team is getting destroyed. It's time for him to go. It's time to go. They need a change. They're uninspired. And whether that's Montgomery's fault totally, or the player's fault, or the management's fault, it's everyone's fault. For crying out loud, it's everyone's fault. Everyone has blame in this. But you can't fire, like we said all along, you can't fire all the players, and management's not going to fire themselves. So the coach has to go. You need a change. You need something to spark the team. And whether that's, I think a coaching change is what you need to try to spark them.
I think it's, regardless of whether or not his fault, or if he's third on the list, fifth on the list, I don't care. At this point, he's not doing anything to help it. So
no.
I think that now you really have to make a decision whether or not you go with him, because I just think he's kind of pouty. He's kind of throwing stuff at the wall, kind of picking at straws. It just doesn't seem like he knows. So at this point, I don't think he's done anything to help himself. You know what I'm saying? Like I get people who say it's absolutely not his fault. Okay, fine, if you want to believe that. But tell me what he's doing to help it. Tell me what he's done to help it.
Those people who are saying that it's not his fault are wrong.
They are.
They're just flat out wrong. He's a coach of the team for a reason. If it's not his fault and the team continues to play this way, and we've said this before, why even have a coach? Why have a guy back there? If all the bad play, all the undisciplined penalties, not making adjustments, you can't complete breakout passes, you have guys posted up at the blue line and instead of with a slow team trying to tip pucks in. You can't get in on the forecheck. There's so many issues with this team. How is it not his fault at all? It's just the players. Players have this. The players run the systems. The players decide how the power play system's going to be. The players decide how to kill penalties. That's all on the players. They don't make decisions at all. They make all the decisions about how they should play games. Right. That's not the way this works. It's not. So the coach has some accountability here. Sure. And I would love to see him fucking take some for once.
Yes. Sorry, man. Yeah, take some. He hasn't. When has he ever said anything to show any type of responsibility? I can't remember. Like he did after the first round a couple of years ago. I don't remember it this year where he said anything about himself. And he just how about today? Riley Tufte, why does he have to go in? I thought Patrick Brown was fine the other night. Fine. I think your team stunk. But I thought he was fine. Had a couple of rushes up ice. Had, looked okay. Like he didn't do anything wrong. Why is Tufte in for him? And then he goes -2 and 7:46 in time on ice. Like why? Why did you have to put him in? This is what I'm saying. Like stop overthinking it. He puts him in because he scored so many goals in the AHL. So what? He's not an NHL player. That doesn't translate to scoring a goal today, Saturday afternoon against the St. Louis Blues. That's not what it translates to.
No,
what are you doing?
It doesn't translate at all. I mean, he hasn't done anything at all to show that he belongs in the lineup now. I mean, nothing. He's shown nothing to showcase what he's been doing. Like he hasn't done anything positively since he's been in the lineup at the NHL level. Nothing.
Right.
So what's the point? Like Patrick Brown will run around and hit some guys, and So I don't know.
I just don't see the difference. Like Patrick Brown's fine. We have a Patrick Brown. Why is that your answer? Like we're gonna change Tufte for Brown, and then Tufte's gonna play less than 8 minutes. And be a -2 and less than that's hard to do. Like I'd have a hard time being a -2 in less than 8 minutes. Like that's hard to do.
It is hard to do.
Why'd you Merkulov? How about this? Merkulov played okay. He was a +2. He had a +2. He was 13 minutes or so, 14 minutes out there. I thought he was fine. I guarantee you that next game he'll be out there 7 minutes. And then he'll be back to Providence. Guarantee it. Mark it down right now.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I feel like he'll get Tyler Johnson will come back. He'll get less time with some of the top lines. He'll move down the lineup and disappear. And then he'll be back to Providence.
Right. Because for whatever reason, the Boston Bruins organization will not let you be less than perfect if you're young. Like, does that make any sense to you? Like, I feel like you have to be perfect to keep playing with the Bruins. When you're young and inexperienced, how does that not set you up for failure?
It does.
That's what I feel. Like, you have to be perfect. You have one bad shift, you sit for 2 periods. Then you get demoted the next game. Like, nobody else on the team is perfect. We have veterans out there playing and making mistakes all over the ice. Stupid mistakes, dumb penalties, bad turnovers. But Merkulov or someone like that makes one mistake and they sit for like 2 periods.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does that make any sense?
I don't understand it at all. It should be the opposite, honestly. It should be the opposite. Young guys should be able to go in the lineup, make a mistake, learn from it, keep playing. That's the only way they're going to get better. Not get benched, not destroying their confidence.
Yeah.
And veteran guys who have been in the league should know better. Yeah. So if those guys are the ones making the mistakes, they're the ones that should see their ice time go down. And it never works out that way here. It never works out that way here.
No.
I mean, Monty's, I guess trying to lay down the law, but it's fucking too late now. Yeah. It's too damn late now. You can't let him get away with it for 4 years, force the last coach out. And now all of a sudden you're going to be a tough guy like the It just doesn't make any sense. It's not the way it should work. It's just not.
That's it. Did Kastelik get hurt?
Yes.
He did.
Okay. Lower body injury, did not return.
Did not return. Okay. So Kastelik is out. So Beecher will probably be back in next game. Beecher was a scratch tonight. He hasn't been good.
No.
We've talked about Beecher before. He is what he is.
Yeah.
At this point. I don't think it's going to get better. So, prepare for Beecher not being in the organization more than another year or two. Like, just prepare for it, because he is what he is. And that's just kind of what it is. Tonight was, again, not enough offense. I mean, you're playing a Blues team that's down 3 defensemen. And the Broberg is out and Letty is out. And there's another defenseman out too. And of course, they're losing their best player in Robert Thomas. And you go out and throw up a 17-shot game. Like, offensively, this team is so disjointed. And how about Cam Neely, who said what we said? I swear to God that I don't know if people listen to this show.
I think they do.
Or we know what we're talking about, or both. But Cam Neely says that the training camp seemed disjointed, which is what we've been saying for like 3 weeks. First of all, we blamed it on Montgomery, but now we're finding out that it's injuries and rehab and surgeries and too many weddings and all that stuff. But Monty, we've been on about that, but it has been disjointed in the training camp, and you had too many new guys.
Yeah.
And you weren't able to gel. And now you're working through that right now during the season. And it shows offensively. This team is just a ragtag bunch of guys who can't get anything together.
Well,
like it just is.
And we'll throw this in. We'll add this to the mix about while they're disjointed. I mean, how many fucking line combinations can you make? I think he's trying. Oh, go ahead.
I haven't changed lines a lot this year.
No, Monty.
That's the thing.
You haven't.
If you know as a coach, okay, here's a way to look at it. If you know as a coach that you had a disjointed training camp and weren't able to get guys together, then why are you almost blaming the team and changing lines so sporadically? Yeah. Why not give it a couple, 3 weeks to stick with the lines you think might work?
Yeah.
Why are you so quick to keep changing lines if you know you're kind of behind the 8 ball to begin with? You know
that's a great point. And I'm going to jump into the fan comments because it's germane to what we're talking about. Oz right off the hop says, and please address Jim's horror blender. I think that's why everybody's fucking lost.
And I agree with you, Oz.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it all along. How can you develop any type of chemistry if the lines get changed from shift to shift, not even game to game?
Right. Shift
to shift. I mean, they changed the lines up within this game at least 3 or 4 times. I mean, I know they lost Kastelik later in the game. But, in the second period, the lines were all over the place. How can you develop anything with anyone if the lines change that frequently? You can't, especially after a disjointed training camp.
You can have no rhythm at all.
None.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you know that that's the case coming in, then have some patience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but you didn't.
He doesn't.
You've been scrambling that thing all year.
Yeah, I think for a guy that's supposed to be, a relaxed, laid back players coach, he has no patience with struggles with the lines.
He's very fidgety.
I mean, he did it in the playoffs that cost them, a couple of years back. Like, he just can't help himself. It's like an addiction.
It is.
Swear to God, it's like an addiction.
Yeah, he can't help himself. He gets
Can I ask you guys a random question since this is a topic?
Yeah.
If he's so fidgety with his lines, how the fuck does he keep his hands in his pockets all the time?
I don't know, but that drives me insane. I texted you today. Can he get his hands out of his friggin' pockets? Like, can you just pace or something? Can you show me something?
I think he has an issue with some kind of, I don't know if it's a tick or ADHD or some kind of situation where he he needs to be doing something. So I don't know if he's playing with like a fidget spinner in his pocket,
right?
Or something. He should pace, or he should chew gum, or do something on the bench. I don't know, smoke cigarettes. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter to me. Just have better body language behind the bench, which he doesn't have. And I think it rolls over to the team. I think the team kind of feeds off his weak body language.
I know, and I hear you. Like the team is a product of their coach. Like they take on the personality of that. And I just think that that's the case with this team. They're just, I don't think he's helping the situation.
No, they need a new coach, and they
do. They at least need to move on from him, because he doesn't seem. How would he make this better, judging by what he's doing right now? Like he just seems lost. He seems like he's not given up, but he just seems like he's out of answers.
He seems disinterested, is what he seems like.
He seems like he's just watching him in the games. He's doing nothing. He's just kind of standing there. He doesn't really seem to be talking to people much.
I don't think he has an answer. And I think I don't know if he's necessarily lost the team, but I think his message is lost on the team. So they need to make a change. They need a new voice. They need something else there to try to light a fire under this team and get these players playing more up to their capabilities. It's plain and simple. It really is. At this point in time, he can't offer anything to get this team out of the malaise they're in. He can't. He has no answer for it. And it's continued now for most of the season. They haven't strung any games together at all, really. Every time they have a win where you're like, okay, you could build off that. The next game is a wet fart. The next game is a piece of shit.
It is. I mean, this is a stretch right here where as a team, you could look ahead and be like, there's 8 or 10 games we could win right here. Oh,
there is.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it should be.
Yeah. Right?
It should be.
I don't know why that doesn't make you feel better.
It should be.
Because I feel better about it.
This team doesn't. I mean, you look at them and you say, yeah, they should be able to win some games and string some games together. But the way they're playing, there's no givens with this team at all. I mean, any given night, they get beat.
Really disappointing.
Get beat by the other team. I mean, without question, they just don't. They don't have enough buy-in, I guess is the word I'll use.
Right. There's no buy-in. There's no buy-in. And I think that the team just doesn't believe in what the system to begin the season. And I think there's a disconnect there. And it shows on the ice. They just don't have any fluidity, no continuity on the ice together. They don't.
No, they don't. And their passing is just atrocious. It's atrocious.
It's bad. And it doesn't lead to offensive opportunities. Many of their opportunities are just, through broken plays or, some other type of offense. It's not really, a fluid breakout to a cycle to a goal.
It's very rarely that.
Rarely that. Now, listen, let's talk about Trent Frederic, because, I'm ready to sell high on him right now.
Yeah, he was
I'm ready to sell high.
The St. Louis Blues. Let's
2 goals against his hometown club. Let's ship him out tomorrow.
Yeah,
shipping out of Boston by the Dropkick Murphys.
Per Jim Montgomery says, offensively, we haven't been there all year. You can't plan for a lack of juice.
Can't.
No, you can't. But
I guess.
But can a coach give the team juice? Can a coach do something to improve the starts?
I don't know. I mean, yes, he should be.
General manager can.
Yeah.
I mean, right now it's just to a point where somebody's got to do something. whether that's a roster move, like a legitimate roster move, like not Riley Tufte. Like it's laughable that you would think Riley Tufte would give you any type of offense. Like why you would make that move is just crazy to me. Like you want to make a move, scratch Brad Marchand. Like scratch someone who just turns over the puck and just doesn't give you what you want. Scratch Charlie Coyle. Scratch someone who just isn't giving it to you from the top six. Just do that. Send a message. But dicking around with a fourth line all year long is not changing anything.
No, it isn't. It's time to sell high on Frederic. Maybe you can swap him for a second rounder and
sure.
Improve the team.
Sure. I would take a second rounder right now for him and move on because you're not going to. I
don't
know if I want to sign him.
I don't think they are.
No, anymore. He's going to get a 4-year deal somewhere. And do you really want that?
Like, honestly, you still have the Frederic defenders out there, and of course, it's today. They come out of the
they come out of the woodwork. Yes, I told you so.
He scores his second and third goals of the season. The guy's a minus fucking 10 or whatever.
He's a minus 12 coming in.
Minus 12. All right. So and today they come out of the woodwork. Oh, if you think Freddie's the problem, you're mistaken. Well, he's part of the problem. He's been part of the problem all year long until today. Today he was great, but where's that been? Where's that been?
No, nowhere to be found. To be honest with you, he's a minus 12. Like he hasn't done anything at all. All right. Stephen Bentley says, yep, Monty, time to go. And I think I've turned that corner. Like I've understood what people have said, but at this point, he's not helping. He's making it worse, in my opinion. So if you make it worse, all he had to do was keep fighting. You know what I mean? And I think that management would have stayed with him at least to the end of the year. And the players too, if he kept fighting. He doesn't seem like he's fighting.
No,
so
he's not.
At that point, you let him go. Yeah, you're not helping.
I think you have to.
Yeah, I think you do. And again, it's not his fault, and I get it.
No, part of it's his fault.
Part of it now is. Part of it now, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, it is now. It is now.
Part of it's his fault.
And if it wasn't before, he threw himself into the blame game. He did. So, desperate need for a trade and a coaching change, John Brown says, and he's correct, John. You are correct. I mean, you need a trade off the core or something, some sort of trade that makes sense and is a little more of a hockey trade than you're used to, and a coaching change. And if that's Jay Leach as the whatever,
interim, sure.
Fine. And then figure out next year.
That'll be what.
Maybe you get a little both. And you've said it before that this is the best time to do it right now.
It is
because
it's right now.
You've got like 10 games against bad teams.
When you have a little stretch here where you have some teams that you have the potential to beat, we'll say, and now's the time. You may get a little juice from the new coach, and you have a lighter schedule. So maybe you turn that into a little run. You turn that into a little winning streak, and now maybe you're feeling good about yourselves. You got a little confidence back. So now's the time. Now's the time to do it. It really is.
Yes. Oz says they could reboot the Lost series with Behind the B. Behind the B. It's funny you mentioned that, Oz. We're thinking of doing Behind the Benders.
Yeah.
I think we'll do that. And just very good point. Kyle says, was Marchand doing a last night Tyson impersonation? Looked slow and out of the play all night long. I mean, Marchand's going to have those things. I mean, he's old. He's older.
Yeah.
He's turning 37 and he's put a lot of wear and tear on there, and he's not a big guy and all of that. The funny thing is, though, if you look at the projections for the year, he's still close to a point per game projection this season. And some guys aren't. I mean, Pastrnak's projection is 40 points below last year right now. Like that's really what the concern is. Like, he doesn't have a top center to help him, and his production's way down. Van Michael says, get Jay Woodcroft, Jay Leach, Mr. Woodman. I don't care who it is. Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob. It doesn't matter to me. Here are the Bruins projections.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
David Pastrnak from 110 to 77.
That's not good.
Brad Marchand from 67 to 59. Here's where it gets scary. Charlie Coyle from 60 to 19.
That's putrid.
Pavel Zacha from 59 to 32.
Yeah, not good.
Charlie McAvoy from 47 to 28. Elias Lindholm from 43 to 41. Trent Frederic from 40 to 18.
Not good.
And Morgan Geekie from 39 to 24. So there's the core of your team, and not one guy is projected to have a better season than they did last year.
Yep.
And that's why they're, a 500 team. That's why the team stinks right now.
Yeah. Oz, I'm going to tell you right now why the fuck change up the Merkulov, Coyle, Frederic line when they were obviously on a heater. I'll tell you why. Because, and I've said this about the fourth line earlier this year, you break up the line doing well to try to pacify the other lines that suck.
Yeah.
So now you take away the one line doing well for you.
Yeah.
And now you scrambled it all up. He did it with the fourth line, which I told him not to. And now he does it with Merkulov, Coyle, and Frederic, who are actually the best line today.
They were.
And then he breaks them up to try to help the other lines. I don't believe in that philosophy. I just don't. I think you need to figure out the other lines. If you need to scramble the other lines to make it work, fine.
Right.
Or keep them together and just be patient like Claude Julien, then that's fine. But you don't break up the line that scored 2 friggin' goals for you.
No, you don't. And I'm with you. I think if you're going to scramble the lines, you scramble the other 2 lines. You leave the fourth line alone, and maybe you found a third line now. Leave that alone, and swap the guys within the top 6. If that's what you want to do, I still wouldn't do that. I would give the guys a few games together. Try to develop some consistency and chemistry with guys playing together more than 2 shifts in a row during the middle period of a game. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
No.
Try 2 games in a row. Try 3 games in a row. Try 5 games in a row.
Sure.
If he left the lines alone for 5 games in a row, I think his head may blow up.
He would have a hard time with it. He would have a hard time with it. It just has to. He needs to see results like right away, and you can't go with a shift even where you just don't look great. And I just can't believe that right now you can expect players to be perfect all the time. And I think that's the expectation, is that once something goes awry, we're going to change it up. And I think that puts the players have mentioned it in the media quite a bit. And it's not like coming out and saying Monty's screwing this thing up, but it's little subtle things that talk about the line changing and it's affecting them. To me, that shows me that it's affecting him. We have to buy into playing a real simple style of hockey, says Coyle. We got to put in the work. Yes, Charlie. But the other problem is that they're really affected by this constant line changing. Many players have mentioned something about it. And to me, that means that they're saying, whoa, slow down. It's out of sync. It's out of rhythm. I don't know who I'm playing with shift to shift. It's not going to help.
I haven't changed lines a lot this year.
We know, Monty, but it's a little bit more than the other guy. It's a little bit more than the other guy. Bruins fan 71, you can blame Monty, but the core is rotten. Look, there's problems with this core, and there's problems with the roster. And Sweeney even said that to begin the year. But I don't think the coach is helping the process, especially if he knows, and the organization knows, that they weren't ready to go in training camp. Like, to me, that's the biggest mind-blowing thing. Like, you're constantly changing lines and expecting a result that you're not going to get.
Right.
Even though the training camp was disjointed. Like, why would you do that? It doesn't match up. So
I don't think I don't think a lot of things he does make sense.
No, I don't. I try to make sense of it. And look, again, Monty to me is not the number one issue. I get it.
No,
he's becoming an issue.
Yeah, he's an issue
okay
now.
To say.
He's not the number one issue. The players play is the number one issue.
Yes.
But he is an issue. He's part of the problem now.
Yeah, and he's making it worse.
On the players.
He's making it worse. He's making it worse.
I feel like the constant line changing, the body language, the lack of adjustments.
Right.
There's a bunch of things that coaches control. that he either is too frequent to change or won't change. Like he's odd in that way. Like line changes, he'll put through the blender, but the power play lines he'll leave alone for 15 games before, and the power play stinks. And then he'll finally change it up, and Hampus Lindholm's out there for half a power play before he gets hurt. It's right. Just he's too slow in some situations to adapt, and then too stubborn in other situations to make changes. So I just don't get it. It's time for a new voice. It's time for someone with some different body language. It's time for someone that will make adjustments to the group. And then, yes, I agree 100% that there needs to be a change within the core. There needs to be some kind of a trade to wake some of these guys up, to shock them into, all right, if I'm not playing well, I could be next. Sure. There needs to be a little bit of fear there from those guys to develop some accountability. Sure. I'd like to see that from the players. They say all the right things, but it's not like it's like we need to be better. It's not like I'm not playing well. It's like we need to be better. I want to change. I want to hear more. It's my fault kind of a stuff, kind of a thing from the players, from the coaches, from the general manager saying, I didn't give them a good roster. Like there needs to be more organizational accountability across the board.
There does. And I think it's a solid point. And I think that Don Sweeney coming out and saying, look, this is partly on me would go a long way. I think it would. And I don't think he does that because it starts chipping away at his job security if he does that. Sure. And he's not that type of guy.
No.
He just isn't that type of guy. Hugh Frazier, having to watch Marchand and Pastrnak try to stick handle through the entire team every single shift is unbearable. And I think, Hugh, that speaks to not believing in the system. And I think you're right. But I think it speaks to not believing in how they can score goals. So now Marchand and Pastrnak are going to try to take it one-on-one. You're seeing a lot more one-on-one play, turning it over, transition. They don't believe in – they're trying to make something happen. I don't think they're doing it with ill will or doing it because they are trying to be assholes or whatever. I just think that they're trying to create something, and it makes it worse. And I think that's what you're seeing with your own eyeballs. Rob Spector, if he kept the lines together and lost 3 straight, everyone would be asking why he didn't shift the lines. Well, that's probably a solid point, Rob. But if you start to worry about what people like us think, then that's a problem. And I think that Monty gets a little nervous and a little panicky. And I think that if he just came up with the lines he thought would work and make sense and give it 10 games, like just give it 10 games, what can be worse? This? I mean,
well, so here's what I'll say to that is that you can keep consistent lines at the start of every game, keep them consistent, and then within the game, if there are guys that are going, because he's mentioned that before, that need more time, sure, give them an extra shift, switch the lines up a little bit if something's not working. But then the next game, go back to the lines the way they were. Don't switch them up to something altogether different. Go back to the way they were. And that way those guys will play together again. And you may be able to get some chemistry. And maybe the next game, you'll play together again. And then maybe you switch them occasionally during the middle of a game. If a particular guy is going, like Frederic was today, maybe you switch him up to try to get him more shifts. But then go back to the lines that you thought were the correct lines. You know what I'm saying? Like start each game with the same set of lines, and then within a game, if there is a particular guy you like the way he's playing, you want to give him more shifts, do that. But then the next game, go back to the original lines that you thought were the right ones, and that way it's you can still develop some chemistry. But maybe during a game, you find a guy that's hot and you can go to him a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't go, switch the line and then go to something completely different the next game. Go back to the ones that you had that you thought were the right ones.
Right.
Right.
I totally agree. Liam says, have you guys noticed Marchand can't skate anymore? Also, only Frederic can make a 2-goal game look awful. This team is bad. Frederic had his 2 goals, and that's great, and that's fine. I mean, that's kind of what we saw last year from him. But right now, you have to make a decision on Frederic, I think, because I don't think you'll get him. I don't think you'll sign him next year. So you have to make a decision whether he is part of the plan going forward.
Yeah, they need more from him. They need more of today's Freddie than.
And you know what? That's not
what he's given them.
And I'll say this. And I've been on Freddie since the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, Trent, if you listen. But here's the thing. It's not 100% Frederic's fault that they're expecting more than probably he can give. He's a third line winger.
Yeah.
And that's what he is. So if they're expecting him to give more, that's unfair to Freddie, and I get it.
Yeah.
But he can't provide it, folks. And he's not worth the money that you think he may be worth. So you have to decide what you're doing with him going forward.
I think he's a pretty good player on a third line if you put him with other pretty good players.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, do the Bruins want to pay, a premium for a third line guy who is pretty good with other pretty good players when you don't have other pretty good players to play him with right now?
Sure.
I think the answer to me is no.
Sure.
And maybe you can get something in return for him, and you make a move to shake up the core a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's what's needed. I do.
I hear you. Only just Dan Maynard says only just woke up here at 7 a.m. in Australia. He missed everything. Shit game or unfortunate loss? Daniel, shit game.
Shit game.
Can't lose a game in overtime to St. Louis Blues at home.
No.
Can't.
Had 13 or 14 shots through regulation and 3 shots in overtime. Not good enough. Korpisalo made some huge saves, especially when it was 1-0 Blues to keep the Bruins in it.
Yeah.
And then the Bruins eventually take the lead, but and Bruins in the second and third period just were not good enough at all.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Not good.
Not good. I mean, that's the type of game they should take care of the third period and win the game.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Rob says no answer for this roster. Slow, single-dimensional, undisciplined. A great coach can't win in the modern game with these personnel. The roster is flawed. I don't disagree with that, Rob. I don't. But I also disagree with the coach and some of his body language and what he's bringing to the table too. I do. And I think that the system's not working. It's not working. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. Changing the lines and not changing the system in some way or shape or form. The power play stinks. I mean, the penalty kill stinks. I mean, it's a wonder they won 8 games.
It is a wonder they won 8 games. I mean, we've talked about it before. They have pretty good players, but they have pretty good players who aren't playing up to their capabilities. I mean, I just read off what they're projected to do this season, and everybody's down, and in some cases significantly down. So you need a different voice. You need somebody else in there to try to get a spark from these guys. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It'll be an interim coach. It's not going to be somebody they're going to hire and sign to a 4 or 5 year deal unless, Scotty Bowman comes out of retirement to coach the team or something. And it's just not going to happen. So, you give the interim coach a shot. If it doesn't work and they stink and it's still a problem, then and they miss the playoffs, at the end of the year that the upper management should be gone. The coach should be gone. And you bring in a new general manager, pick a new coach, and you get some new players, and you make some big roster changes. That's what happens when the team's bad. That's what happens.
Sure,
that's what needs to happen.
Sure. I'm just gonna keep drinking this peanut butter whiskey
until
it all goes away. Till all of it goes away. Yeah. Tank for McQueen, says Jason Larad. Kozel McQueen, McQueen from the Cars. I don't give a shit who it is. Sure. Kozel McQueen from NC State basketball. That's nobody here knows what I'm talking about, but that is a guy. Fine. We'll take, I might just take some Baileys and drink it right now. There's better players, but he's 6'5". I guess. Yeah. And again, we're going with the size. Size was a problem. I think it's a problem because they got slower as a team and their roster makeup changed.
Yeah.
And I just think it's, I think they got a little addicted to heavy.
Yes.
And big.
Not a little. They
and less skilled. I mean, you need some skill in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
And it's just not, this is not working. And it might be the last straw for like a Sweeney and Neely. I'm at the point now, and this is sacrilegious and terrible. I'm at the point now where I almost hope they miss the playoffs. Just so that there's every time they've missed the playoffs back in the day, they've changed something. Like management, coaching, players, all of it, something. I think that's what they need. I really do. This hanging on and making the playoffs and losing in the first or second round and not really having a legitimate chance is not working. It's not making you better. You're not picking high enough. You're just in mediocre land or slightly above mediocre land.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah. It's time for a major shakeup, and if missing the playoffs is what it takes, then that's what needs to happen in order for them to get that done. I don't know if they'll have the sense of urgency if they do make the playoffs. I don't think they will. So, I'm kind of on board with it too. I hate to say it because I love to see the Bruins win. I want to see them win.
I think that's the only way it helps.
But yeah, I think that's in order to win going forward. I think that's what you kind of need to have happen. It's you're going to have to bite the bullet maybe for a year or two. And maybe that will turn it around for you, in the long run.
Yeah, I agree. David Ozzy says juice has too much sugar. They need coffee instead. They need something. They need this Irish coffee right now.
You're hitting it hard today, huh?
I am hitting a little hard today. It's Saturday, you know, and we do 82 of these. Yeah, I'll be honest. Right now, they're pissing me off.
Sure.
And we're 19 games in, and I'm pissed off. Like it's just. I
mean,
you know how long a season it is.
Yeah, it's going to be a very long season if we're in game 50 or 60 and they're 25 and 25 and 5 or something, and
and not making any moves, and the coach is still there with his hands in his pockets.
How many times can I motherfuck the team and worry that Jim Montgomery's playing with his penis behind the bench? Like it's just I don't know how many times I can say the same stuff.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Tired. You get tired.
I mean, we've sworn, we've carried on.
Yeah.
Now we're just kind of subdued and just like, look, just make some
pretty
changes.
Soon, I told you, we were talking with T-Boz about it. I don't think he's he's busy today, but I think this might turn into a bourbon and whiskey podcast at some point because we're just going to be hitting the bottle while these guys just fuck it up all over the ice. Sorry, John.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to get the limoncello out and rip it all day long.
Let's get after it.
Oz says, okay with shipping Frederic to the Blues, whether that's picks or prospects, whatever. I'm with you, Oz. Yeah. Like, I think you got some forwards here you're not moving on with. I'm thinking right now that you look to move those guys for something. I don't know what it is, but something. Get the value you think you might be able to get. And move on, because I'm not moving on with those guys. Like, you can't bring everybody back and expect things to be different.
Right.
Like, this is what I love about Bruins fans. Oh, don't trade that guy. Don't trade that guy. Well, tell me where a new guy fits then, if you want to keep everybody.
I mean, you want to keep everybody, but you're like, oh, go out and get this guy and this guy. Well, that means some guys have to not be on the team anymore. If you want to replace guys with top end talent or better talent, so that means some guys aren't going to be on the team. Yeah. So your favorite guy might not be on the team anymore. It's unfortunate, but that's what needs to happen. You need to get better players. They don't have good enough players right now. If you look around the league at the Floridas of the world, at Ottawa's forward group, at Toronto's forward group, these teams have better players than you. So you need to get better players. That's part of the problem. That's part of the issue. That's part of the roster building that they haven't done.
Yeah, right.
You need better guys.
Right. I hear. Yes, you do. And I don't know, like, if you keep bringing everybody back, it's, you're falling in love with players who aren't good enough right now, who aren't doing the job for you. Pejman says, last thing I saw on my plane took off was St. Louis tying it at 2, which they did late, sort of mid-third. Would have bet my life they'd lose. This team is fucking garbage. Not sorry, John. Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't get over it because they aren't very good.
Yeah.
And and I saw when they scored the goal, I'm like, are they going to lose this in a shootout or overtime? And yes, they did. They did. And Korpisalo I thought was really good today.
Yeah.
But Brickley was right. As Bruce Cassidy says,
need a save there.
Kind of need a save right there. David Ilsley, Chief J Strongbow.
Tonight we didn't get it.
Yeah. Dave tonight didn't get it.
Infamous for throwing the goalie under the bus.
Yeah.
And that's what happened here. Need a save there. Need that save. Chief J Strongbow is what David Ilsley said. And that's just, that you don't need any more. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. Trade Elias Lindholm for a bag of pucks without what a floater. Elias Lindholm, I still don't know. I still don't see him much in games. You know what I mean? I still don't see him much.
I think
I don't know what's going on.
I think he's a fantastic third line center.
Yeah.
But you paid him to be a first line center. You paid him to be a first line guy. And you went out and got a guy that had 44 points last year. Less than Zacha, less than Coyle. And then you knocked those guys down a peg who had, 20 more points than him.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you make that move? Why?
I don't know.
Because you can't win faceoffs? Like, yeah, sure. Great third line center. Guy who can win faceoffs. Perfect. He helps there. He helps in that situation. But
I hear you.
As an offensive player, no help at all. None.
Nope. Zero. And he's not a first line center.
No.
That can help David Pastrnak at all. Rob Spector says simple hockey doesn't fucking work in 2024. The game demands speed and skill, and it does, Rob. It does. And they've gone heavy and big in 1988.
Yeah.
And it hasn't helped. It just hasn't helped. They were so consumed with the Florida Panthers that now they can't play anybody else. Like, it's just they can't beat the Panthers or anybody else.
No, it's funny because they handled the Panthers in the regular season a little bit when they had a different team.
They did. Last year they won all 4 games, didn't they?
Right. And then it comes to the playoffs and they struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe those changes weren't needed as much as they thought they were.
True.
They just needed their guys to play better in the playoffs. But they go in the complete opposite direction. They sign all these huge guys. And now their team is a shell of what it used to be. And they're going to struggle to make the playoffs with this group. I mean, they are.
I'm with you. Kyle says everyone coming after new additions, while when they signed, they thought they were coming into a winning culture and good core when the core has been extremely disappointing, and it has been. And I've talked about this. I don't know if Don Sweeney has created his own core. I don't know if he's done that well. Like, he really sucked the life out of the old core, like to the nth degree.
Sure.
And he, in turning the core over, has been a struggle for him.
Yeah, it has been. It has been. And
his new core is not as good.
No, it's not. And I don't like the way he's built the roster. I don't like the way he's going about it. I think he's settled for third and fourth line guys. I hated the Allmark trade. You can go back and on the YouTube channel and look at On Thin Ice with Smitty. You'll see my thoughts on the Allmark trade.
Yeah, you will. You will.
So, I feel like he's kind of let the team down with the way he's approached building the roster. Sure. And whether that's him or Neely, I don't care. You can call him the same guy, call him Sweely. It doesn't matter to me. It's I don't care. Brangelina, call him whatever you want. Yeah. Doesn't matter to me, but they're part of the problem too. And the roster's no good. They don't have elite talent anymore. You need that to win in the league. They need better players. They don't have good enough players. You have Pastrnak and an aging Marchand, and then not much else offensively after that. You have guys that will work hard, but it's Charlie Coyle, who had a career year at 34 years old or whatever he is. You can't count on that stuff. You can't count on it. You need better offensive guys, and you don't have them right now.
You do.
You just don't.
Right. It reminds me of the teams in the mid to late 80s that just didn't have enough. A bunch of hardworking guys.
And Randy Burridge. Well,
it is. It is.
Other people had guys that could actually play.
Circles around them. Yeah. Dan Maynard says, just looking at the box scores, Freddie scored 2, had more shots on net in a 5 minute shorter game than Pastrnak. Did I wake up in the Twilight Zone, assuming Freddie still played like shit? Look, Freddie is Freddie, and he's a third line winger. And if he pops a goal or two, he's fine.
Yeah, he was good today, Dan. Freddie was good today.
Yeah, Freddie was good.
He was their best forward, I would say, today.
And he's playing against his hometown club, which I'm sure he wants to do well against them, so they'll make an offer to him. I'm sure he wants to go home. I would too. I would want to go home if this is what I was doing. You know what I mean? And I would too. So, he's played well. He didn't play well against them Tuesday, but he played well tonight. And if this is what you get from Freddie, that's fine. As a third liner, this is fine. That's fine.
It's great. If he's going to score 2 goals, as a third line guy, that's fantastic. Yeah, but the problem is they never have more than one guy going on a night.
Right.
Freddie has his night, but no one else is going with him.
I hear
has a night, no one's going with him. Marchand has a night, no one's going with him. They don't have, a few guys going together at the same time where, you get some chemistry, the lines clicking. Sure. A guy has, 2 goals and an assist. Another guy has a goal and 3 assists. They don't have that. They don't have guys that are playing well together at the same time. They have one guy decide, oh, tonight's my night, and the rest of the 20 guys take the night off. That's what you have. You have one guy who's like, all right, boys, let's go get it. And then everybody else is like, go ahead, get it.
Sure. Right. And Rob says, guys, what jobless coach out there wants to take this job with this roster in this media market? And it's a valid point, Rob, but I think right now you go interim. And at the end of the year, there'll be some guys out there and you can decide who the next guy is. I still think, and I didn't at the time, this is not like revisionist history, but I think looking back, Spencer Carberry was the guy.
Yeah,
what he's doing with Washington is great. And I think that he might have been the guy. And he interviewed.
Yeah, so I feel like, as much as people say who would want to deal with all the crap that comes with, coaching this team, it's still, look, there's only a handful of NHL jobs. They're still, coveted around the league. It's an original 6 team, which still means something to people. There will be plenty of guys that will want this job.
Sure.
Plenty
of course. Of course. This is a good job.
Yeah. People aren't going to be like, oh no, the Bruins, they spend to the cap.
They do. I mean, this is a good job.
Yeah. It's a good job, but there's problems right now and those problems need to be addressed and fixed. But yeah, there'll be coaches lining up to take this job.
100%. 100%. Oz says there's only random player switches in between lines, but he doesn't seem to make any other in-game adjustments. Let's say more minutes to a line that's actually working or different lines for the lines that struggle. And I'm with you, Oz. I'm not a hockey coach. I'm trying to see that. I'm trying to figure that part out. I don't really know, but it just doesn't seem like there's a ton of adjustments. It's his style. And this is what he coaches, and this is what it is. If someone could tell me differently, I'm all ears. It just seems like it's his style. He doesn't veer from it. This is what it is. And right now, the style is not working. The players aren't grasping it. They don't believe in it, whatever. They aren't comfortable with it. Or maybe the roster doesn't match it, too.
Yeah, I mean,
they've added some people that maybe don't match it. Too. without really understanding it.
No, I think they have not gotten some buy-in from some of the new guys, primarily Zadorov, I would say, on the back end is floating all over the place. So, that's all those things are issues. It is. There's lots of issues. There's lots
of issues. There's roster issues. Now there's coaching issues.
Yeah. The players obviously aren't playing well enough as an issue. There's system issues, specialty teams issues. There are a number of issues. Probably too long to list.
I hear you.
So, I think you have to start first with effort. And I don't know if it's 100% there in puck battles along the wall. Their execution hasn't been good.
Sure.
So you can put the blame wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is that the team's not playing well enough. You can't fire the players.
Right.
And there needs to be some kind of a spark. So what can give you that spark? The only thing that can give you the spark right now is a coaching change.
I would think so. That's the first step.
Unless
the first step all the time.
Unless you get into a full ice Donnybrook.
Right.
Full ice line brawl. Guys come off the bench. People are suspended. Like one of those. That's
Game
the
changer.
only other thing that you could do right now, and it's not 1975, so I don't think it's happening.
It's not happening.
That's
John Wensig's not going to the bench right now.
You can't have Trent Frederic, skate over to the St. Louis bench and challenge the whole team and get a result. Like it's not going to happen. But those are the only two things, in my opinion, that you could do to get a spark within the team right now: a coaching change or a full ice. 400 penalty minute Donnybrook type of a game.
Right. I hear you. And I yes, it's a season changer type of thing, whatever that is. But yes,
that's what you need. You need
to show like some fight. Like you show some fight.
You need something. You need something to spark the team.
Right.
And changing the lines every night isn't it? Scratching Patrick Brown and bringing Riley Tufte up isn't it? Those aren't it. Those aren't, season altering sparks. You need a season altering spark.
Tufte is if the reason for bringing Riley Tufte up to replace Patrick Brown is because he scored some goals in the AHL.
Yeah.
Then that makes me question what the hell you're doing. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Is that your answer?
It should make you question it.
And then he plays 746 and is a -2.
Well,
that's your answer?
So that it doesn't hold weight with me. It doesn't hold water with me because if you're doing that for that guy, where has Georgi Merkulov been? Where has he been? He scored 30 goals in Providence last year. The Providence doesn't matter, but 27 for the Abbotsford Jerkoffs does. I mean, I don't know what the fuck. Sorry, John.
I don't know. Yeah.
Really? What are we doing here?
Like
you got your own prospect that scored 30 goals and was in the top 10 in points in the entire goddamn league.
Sure.
But he can't crack the lineup, but Riley Tufte's in? I mean, Jesus Christ, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I don't know. And I don't think the coach knows, and that makes me uncomfortable. Like, honestly. David Ilsley says, I've always thought true contender equals reaching the conference finals. And you're right, Jonesy, that yes, I think that he doesn't keep his job unless they make the conference finals. I really believe that. I think he does if they do, and he doesn't if they don't. The Bruins funk has been destroyed. Yes. Jacques Ouellet.
I think they have a funk like in their skates or something, like a toe jam situation.
The Uptown Funk.
Yeah. I think they got some athlete's foot. I think they have a team full of guys with athlete's foot.
They got some guys with athlete's foot. We have all sorts of problems right now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the players, says Savoir Cross. It's the system that doesn't fit the players they brought in. Even Belichick would adjust his system to the players he had on offense, like when they brought in Moss. And I think that's a good point. I don't see a lot of adjustment within the system. I don't. And we talked about it, that maybe this team was better off being Julian, just really focusing on the defense. That's their strength, is their defensive players and goaltending.
It should be.
So why are they trying to play to a strength that's not there, which is offense, which is forwards? So I think that's a good point. Monty won't adjust anything, and I think he's proven that he won't adjust the style of play, the philosophy. I don't think he believes that that's the philosophy, and he's kind of indirectly blaming the players in the performance and not really looking at the philosophy and the style of play. The Allmark trade was not great, Jacques. It was Kastelik and a backup goaltender, and the Korpisalo's been fine, and I think he'll be fine.
Yeah,
but you traded a Vezina Trophy winner for a backup goaltender and a fourth line center and a first round pick who won't be there for 3-4 years. Like, okay, I don't know. It's underwhelming. Shock. Yeah. Andre Aubin, too many gentle giants on the team. We've talked about this, and you're right, Andre. Desperately need a shakeup. They're too nice. There's too many nice guys.
Yeah,
they don't play. They aren't assholes enough.
No,
they aren't.
Team full of lovely gentlemen.
Yeah, just lovely guys. Oz says we need a coaching change urgently. The rest about the core, and if they make the playoffs, and if we need to retool, is secondary. Fire Jim, and I'm at a point now where it's not his problem, but I see so many Bruins media members that are saying it's not the coach's fault. It's not the coach's fault. It is. He's not. It is now. There's some fault now. There is, and if you're not realizing that, then you're just not seeing it, from a large scope. You're too close-minded.
Mm-hmm.
There is some problem with the coaching now and how he's handled it. Genuine question from Dan Maynard. If we don't make the playoffs, do you think Marchand calls it in? Now, we've talked about this offline. We kind of think that Marchand could retire. We kind of think that. I think it would have to be a disaster where there's like a rebuild. I think he might. Or is it possible he seeks to play with like a Crosby or a McKinnon, who he loves desperately? Like he loves those guys.
Yep.
And he's talked about McKinnon and Crosby glowingly.
Yeah, they're both.
Is he willing? Yeah.
Yeah, they're both Nova Scotia. They're all Nova Scotia guys.
They're all Nova Scotia guys. And he's talked about those guys.
So them in the off season.
Is he willing to go to Colorado or Pittsburgh?
I think, if it were to be a disastrous end to this season, I could see that if he's not done, if he doesn't want to hang it up. I think he wants to retire a Bruin.
Sure.
I do.
I think that's number one. Sure.
Yeah. But, if he feels like he's not done playing and the Bruins are going into, a rebuild, I think he would consider it 100%. I do.
I'm with you. I think that could happen. It could.
And, he already has his cup, so it's a little different situation than Ray Bourque was.
Uh-huh.
But, I could see that. I mean, Colorado could use a guy like Brad Marchand.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Yes.
And, Pittsburgh's maybe in a similar situation to Boston, so I'm not sure that would be the best fit for him if he's.
I don't know if it moves the needle. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it does. Yeah.
So there's some pros and cons there that he would have to weigh and the organization would have to weigh, but I think he'll be asked if the team continues to struggle, they'll ask him if he wants to go somewhere else and play somewhere else. I think the situation will be brought up.
I think the discussion may happen if they are going rebuild. I think that might be unpopular opinion. Marchand needs to be traded, get what we can. Let's move on and get some leadership change. Matt, I think that if he wants to go, that they should entertain it, and they may be able to get something for him. But it would have to be his decision. I think he's earned it, so it would have to be his decision. David Ozzie says, only way this team reaches conference finals is by buying tickets. That could be true. Coyle is still on the team, said Warcross.
Yeah.
It's and then Pejman says, I'd like the I'd like the line brawl you guys mentioned, but I prefer it happen in practice with each other. Last man standing. So you see who lasts through the line brawl in practice. Lots of guys could use a black guy to wake them the hell up. And it's true. And look at this team is at a crossroads right now. I don't think it's getting better this way. I just don't. If they go like 5-5 in this next stretch, then you have to make a move because they should go 8-2, 9-1 in this stretch. These teams coming up are not good. And Bruins are better. They're more talented. They should be better. They should win. And I think it's definitely a barometer of how this thing's going to go. And fittingly, it's right before Thanksgiving. So that's another thing. Like American Thanksgiving is usually a barometer of where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And this is leading up to American Thanksgiving, which is 2 weeks away, a week and a half away. And I think that's this is it right here. This is it. And if you don't separate yourself, if you don't get into a playoff position, then I think you have to make a move and you have to determine what you want the rest of the season or next season to look like. So,
yeah, they're in a playoff position right now. But Tampa Bay, Ottawa are 2 points behind, and the Bruins have played 19 games. Tampa's played 15, and Ottawa's played 16. So those teams have 4 and 3 games in hand on you, and are only 2 points behind you. So I think there are teams that could certainly jump over them right quickly.
Sure.
So and now's the time. Now's the time to try to find spark, try to find
100%.
something, and go from there.
Absolutely. Monday night, Columbus Blue Jackets come in. They aren't very good. Hopefully, the Bruins get a W there and just start a little streak here. Bruins are 8-3 on the season. They lose today to the St. Louis Blues at home, 3-2 in overtime. We'll be back at it Monday night after the game. Join us. Until then, as always, go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right.